Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Today, we are very excited to have Gina Gibson join us. Thank you so much for your valuable time, Gina. We really appreciate it. Gina Gibson is the CEO of Think Forward and the host of the Tech Matchmaker podcast, where she shines a light on breakthrough technology transforming the contact center space. She has more than 25 years of experience spanning frontline support to executive leadership. Gina has led major digital transformations for organizations ranging from 50 to 45,000 agents. She's here today to share what it really takes to future-proof your contact center and how to make technology work better for the people behind it. Gina has her slide up and she's ready to go. I would like to let you know that if you have any questions or you'd like to interrupt to have a conversation with Gina, she would love you to do that. You can either raise your hand, you can take yourself off mute and just gently interrupt, or you can use the chat if you'd like. I'll monitor the chat for Gina and I'll make sure that she sees those questions. Go ahead, Gina, you can take it away.
Thank you so much, Erica. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. For those of you that I haven't met, as Erica said, Gina Gibson. I'm out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and I did meet some of you I know up in Tucson last year. And as Erica said, I'm really looking for this to be a dialogue back and forth. One of the pieces of feedback that I remember hearing really loud and clear last year after the AI kind of panel discussion was that it was more centered toward enterprises and not the TAS industry. And so I really made a point to not only speak with different people in the TAS industry, but really with the industry experts as well and say, okay, what is different, right? Because everybody's industry is a little bit different, and how can we make it? So if you're finding that some of the things that I'm talking about aren't relevant, let's have a dialogue about it, right? And let me know what your concerns are and what your questions are, and I will do whatever I can to help address those. And so a little bit about as can you see everything? It's kind of showing half on mine here. Anyway, with Think Forward, there's a little bit of information on there. A couple of things that we'll add is we are women owned business. We just got our certification on that last month, so very proud of that one. And yes, we do tech agnostic sourcing for different companies. So whether you're looking for an AI solution, a CCaaS solution, UCaaS, whether it's hardware, software, security, anything like that, we can help you source that. So as we go through, this is the agenda that I had in mind to cover off with everybody today. Just kind of look at what some of the immediate wins might be in the TAS space, how to select, what to take into consideration when you're selecting the right AI platform, what to consider from a data and security standpoint. What does AI readiness mean? And what about change management, right? And then getting into the vendor selection, what a deployment could look like, and of course, the continuous improvement. Does that sound like an okay approach for everybody today? See heads, perfect. So, some of the immediate wins within the TAS space, and honestly, these cover and cross almost any organization that's out there looking at putting AI in right now, is it immediately gives you that 24/7 coverage. Where I'm seeing most people work AI into the process immediately is with the FAQs. So, what are the frequently asked questions that your customers are calling in for? How do we do that? How can we answer those 24/7, right? Scheduling appointments, order processing. Of course, with AI, the response times are slashed, right? Not only can you offer agents 24/7, but you can offer them immediately. There is no waiting in queue. It's an immediate, response, and 100 people could be answered at the exact same time. Which what we're finding in the data these days is customers are expecting a response time immediately, right? Patience in our customers has gone down as the self-service capabilities increase. I think the other immediate win, and I guess I'll ask you guys, do a lot of you do quality management today, automated quality management? Or are you still doing quality management manually, like having a supervisor kind of listen in?
We're developing using the software, trying to come up with a understanding how to use it. So we're trying to do it with software.
Perfect, perfect. And there's a lot of great software that's out there. And once you do the auto quality management, that just opens up so many doors as far as getting the voice of your customer, finding out where their pain points are, because you're recording every conversation and you're able to use that data without having to, interview your customers or do surveys out to your customers, which we know they don't always like to fill in. Any questions about what I've laid out as possible immediate wins in the task space? Does that all resonate? Does it make sense for you guys, kind of what we're saying, what's being said? Excellent. So the highest impact where we see is FAQs. And password resets are probably the first, no matter what organization I've worked with, and we've done AI implementations now on over a dozen. And we'll talk about the ones that failed and we'll talk about the ones that succeeded. I'll tell you it's a common thread in both, but most of them start with a password reset because that's something they can work on with their internal team and they can work out some bugs before they put it customer facing. Or if it's customer facing and it's not working, it's a very easy zero out or transfer to an agent to do. But a lot of customers have password reset issues, right? It ends up being one of their higher call volumes. Real-time appointment scheduling comes in at a really close second, where you tie the scheduling, like do the APIs into the software and you tie the scheduling system to your contact center software, and the customers are able to schedule their own appointments, right? Just by talking to it. The frequently asked questions, it's a game changer for both your agents and your customers. A lot of times with the agents, you'll have a little, sometimes it's called Copilot or a little pop-up box that based on what the system is hearing the customer ask for, they're going to screen pop for your agent possible solutions and knowledge articles that would be related to what the customer is saying. So that saves time for the agent trying to search through all the different places that the information may be stored. I don't know if you guys are lucky and you have all your data in one place, like all your FAQs belong in one place, or if some of them are on OneDrive and some are on Jira and some are SharePoint or belong in different systems. But those are the high impact cases that we've been seeing operate successfully. From a chat and email and text, definitely chat. I know a lot of companies will have, and I'm sure you guys have experienced it as well, where the chat will pre-populate answers for you. We're not seeing a high customer satisfaction rate with pre-populated answers. What we're seeing is they want to have that same dialogue. So they want to be able to talk to the chat person, even if it's a bot, they want to talk to them the same way they would interact via voice or text. They want an immediate response and they want to ask their question their way. Does anybody here, do you guys use chat or text or SMS a lot in your day-to-day businesses?
It's growing.
And are you finding that
We're
customer
using it
demand?
all on a manual basis. We're not using AI to respond to any chats at this moment, anyhow.
Okay. Okay. And is the number of chats, is it increasing? Like, do you find your customers like that ability to be able to chat or text or more so?
It's a growing market. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you need to proactively go out and promote it.
Okay. That's great. It's great to understand because I think when they go to the websites of your customers, right? Like, does a chat bubble pop up? Is that how you're promoting it? That would be one way to promote, right? And so it's a live person every time. Do you have windows of availability for your chat or is it a 24/7?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. I don't have.
24/7.
Excellent, excellent. And 24/7 by a live person or 24/7 with AI for whoever?
24/7 by a live person, but AI does actually respond to the first message. So when they chat us, there's like a generic message that goes to them, and then it's a live agent.
And then it's a live agent.
Mhm.
Excellent. And
Jen, I didn't realize you were on this. I thought
I
you
know
were.
I'm on for just a little bit and then I have to jump off, but I didn't
Oh,
want
good. Well, any questions, I'll just refer to you.
to. Okay.
that's excellent. Is there any questions about use cases? Do any of these resonate with you guys as far as what you see you could be automating in your day-to-day business?
Our interest is primarily in the voice bots. I think you're referring to it here as AI receptionists in the voice bots. So we've been doing. We're looking at a lot of vendors and getting demos from a lot of them, and we're talking about partnering with some of them. It's not as it's not a slam dunk. It's not as simple as there's a tremendous in order to do it properly and effectively, you really have to input a lot of data into your database in order for the voice bot to respond intelligently. And it's very, very time consuming. So this is not it's not something that you can front end your calls with and treat it like an IVR even. I mean, it should be a very sophisticated IVR, but it requires a lot of manual inputting initially, which makes it very expensive. And our customers who typically pay, three, four, $500 a month, are not prepared to pay $150 or $200 a month to front end their calls, to do triage or call screening. Anyway, that's been
Your
our feedback and our experience so far, but we're still spending a lot of time time invested in researching some of the alternatives.
And it's a great point, Paul, because the two different projects that I've had that have stalled and not been as successful out of the gate, it has boiled down to the quality of the data. So where is their data, right? Do they have their FAQs documented? Is there a CRM, a customer relationship management database, right? What do they want to be able to automate? What type of calls do they have coming in, right? And it isn't magic. I mean, AI is not magic. It definitely takes fine tuning and it takes work to go through that process. Getting to the selection criteria, I think one of the main criteria that you need to be aware of, and I'll say that if you are selecting an AI platform, and every platform today on the market, every platform that is worth anything has open APIs. And if your platform doesn't have open APIs and allow you to use a third party vendor for AI, and I'll say this too, one, you're being held hostage by by your CCAS performer platform, but two, there's not a CCAS platform out there that is the best at AI. They are great at doing what they do from a CCAS perspective, but they are behind the curve when it comes to AI. So if your platform person is saying, okay, yeah, we can do this agentic, we can do everything, they might be able to do it, but they keep in mind that's not their core business. And unless they've purchased a company, my experience thus far has been only those that purchase third-party companies are actually keeping up with what the leading technology providers are able to do in the AI space. And that I think you'll talk to, unless they're on a CCAS platform, and I know there's a couple on here, but there's a lot of great AI providers that they are point solutions, and that is what they do, and that's all they do. And those are the people that have begun to make it a lot easier for you as end customers to implement the software into and get results out of it quicker. There's been some implementations I've seen take 12 weeks, and I've seen some take over 9 months. And it's the ones that take over 9 months to implement a simple use case where their product isn't flushed out and the customer, like the data isn't there. And data is key. Your data is what's driving it, because that's what's going to be your LLM, your language model, right? So make sure your CCAS and your AI platform person both have APIs or have integrations to the different platforms. That's definitely a key one.
Gina, sorry,
Actually,
may I? There was a
yeah.
question from Lori. What's a CAS platform exactly? And Alex has said call center as a service or contact center
Correct.
in
So
chat.
that's whoever your screen pop or whoever your calls are coming in on that it may be, I don't want to call anybody out, but I know these guys aren't in your space, so I'll say Genesis or Nice or those kinds of telecom platforms. That's who your CCAS provider would be. I think in yeah. Make sure that you retain your data and all the learnings and the trainings from the LLM so that you're owning that. Because if you don't, when you decide, hey, maybe you started with this AI provider, but they got purchased or they went under, that's another thing. Make sure they've been around for at least 5 to 7 years in the AI space before you go with them. You want to make sure you're taking all that learning with you to your next platform. And whether you're building your own or buying the next one, whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that that language model is yours to own. The thing we're seeing absolutely the most, you guys, is make sure that even if you're not ready for it right now, but that agentic and the generative AI is part of the platform of the AI provider you're looking for. So when you're doing your interviews and you're meeting with them and you're looking, don't just look for what you're thinking right now, but look at their roadmap. Look at how they're scaling. What are they thinking of that you might not be ready for yet, but it shows you that you're working with a partner that really is going to be on the cutting edge. Of course, that they can operate 24/7 and they can scale rapidly. And then with that, are they thinking forward? Here's your call flows and your work customizations today, but what can they do tomorrow? Right? So think about the art of the possible when you're going through that and looking at different vendors to select from. Any questions about that or any comments, feedback anybody want to provide? Okay. I'll hop into the security practices and the data. So data encryption is huge, and I think most of you are doing that now, but make sure 100% that your AI vendor has compliance and certification. And you might not need FedRAMP if you're not working with government, but HIPAA if you're anything in the healthcare, right? PCI is pretty much basic for any AI vendor out there. And with PCI, I'm pretty sure the parallel is the GDPR. So just make sure that they have that. Um, and then the access controls and authentication. So the role-based, um, the principle of least privilege, right? So both your agents and your system should only have access to the data that they need, only the data they need to be able to make their decisions, right? So if it's a chat bot that is scheduling appointments and that's all it's for, then the only thing it should have access to is that, can it schedule an appointment here and here, right? So it's making sure that you're not opening your system up wide for everybody because that's where the issues end up happening. And then I don't know if it's a practice or not. I've heard some people definitely do it, some do not, but making it a habit to have a security audit on a regular basis, right? Looking for those breaches. Especially when you start, your AI vendor should be able to help walk you through what the 2 week auditing process looks like if you want to audit on a daily basis, but monthly audits especially. It has to be done and an ongoing basis, right? Alerts for people to be notified if they're seeing any data breaches or anything like that. Um, as we kind of go down, chatting just a little bit about the AI quality management, and this is more kind of automation. It's a little bit of AI, but it automatically audits every interaction that you do, right? And it has scorecards for every bot or agent. So even if you have AI agents, I would strongly suggest that you QA them and do quality assurance on your bots as well as your humans, right? Because you want to make sure the right information is being given to your customer in every scenario. What's wonderful about the automated QA is you get the feedback loop from your customer immediately, right? If you want to see sentiment and you want to see and hear the voice of the customer, you can get that right away. And you can also see, like Paul, how you were mentioning, chat is becoming more important. You'd be able to tell just from words that your customers are saying and the recording of the calls, how many are asking for chat? Oh, I would have liked to chat, or the chat didn't work, or here's where, I would have liked to have emailed, but I sent an email and I didn't get a response, whatever the case may be. Thoughts on quality management? Is this
I
make
don't have any thoughts on quality management, but getting when you're talking about vendors, we're all in the uh, telephone answering service
Mhm.
business. I call it telephone answering service versus call centers because I'm guessing that 90% of us specialize in urgent call response. So we would have hundreds or thousands of customers paying us, anywhere from $200 to $1,000 a month, and sometimes more, versus three or four customers paying us $100,000 a month or $1 million a month. So that's Eric. I think that's probably the nature of most of our businesses.
I
And
agree. Yes.
where the
Yeah.
hell was I going here? Oh, um, and so when you talk about vendors, you're talking about a vendor who would provide us with this access to, let's say, a voice bot that would
that would be
provide.
right, like your AI vendor, like the people you're interviewing right now. That's who I'm talking about as a vendor.
I see. Okay, and
Yeah,
we have
very
talked to
aware
many.
of your space. Yeah,
Yes, I got it. Okay. The other alternative is, which I'm just finding this out, is that anybody who has, some sort of, technical knowledge, computer and telephony knowledge, um, are able to um, uh, hook up with Amazon or Microsoft or whomever, and write their own AI voice bots. It's not magical
it's not.
technology. It's easily available, and anybody can. We talked to one guy a couple of days ago in Ottawa, Ontario, and he's in the duct cleaning business, and he developed a little voice bot to take his calls for him because I'm not sure if it was economically wise, but anyway, he has a voice bot answering his calls. But he was in the duct cleaning business, and
There's
so
a
it's
lot. Yeah,
it,
there's a lot, Paul, out there that do that, right? There's a lot
yeah.
of, and so when I say vendor, I would consider him a vendor, right? He would be
Mhm.
a vendor because he has a product. So I want to address a couple of things with you there. One, absolutely, anybody that you could have AI, you could go onto Chat GPT and have Chat GPT write a bot for you. When you're reading the stats that are out there, when they say out of the 85% of AI projects deployed that are failing, those are the ones that are failing because they're using OpenAI. They're not putting the guardrails in place. And while there may be some that are, I would strongly suggest you use somebody that has the security in place, that knows the data and knows the system. And I totally understand that price is an issue in some of these cases. There's some really cost-effective solutions out there, right? And whether it is, okay, we're gonna pay you to build the first one and then we're gonna build the rest of them, or not. But with the chatbot, like having the calls auto answered, that's 100%. I think that was on the first rate, like a auto receptionist. And if they can have that conversation, which goes into the agentic AI side of things, like speaking like an agent, having that back and forth dialogue, then there's going to be a point where they give confidence ratings. So they say, hey, the customer just asked me to respond to this question. I have less than a 80% confidence rating that I know the answer to this based on all the data that I've been given. So I'm going to transfer that call to a live agent, right? And that's the type of technology build out that's been happening in the market. And I understand Taz is you guys don't consider yourself or have the differentiator from a contact center, but there's a lot of similarities in the fact that you still want to have the data, right? Because making decisions without data, those aren't usually don't lead you down the best path normally, right? Whereas when you have the data that says this is how many calls are coming in, this is what my customers are saying, this is how I need to, this is what my customers are asking for, right? They're asking for, hey, I don't want to wait on hold anymore. And to your point, when these people are calling in emergency type situations, like there's software that's in OnStar that is all agentic. It is all AI. So every car out there, when you press OnStar, yeah, that is being done. Like they know their location via AI. That's AI bots that are helping them get to the right person. If they can't answer, then they'll go to a live person. So there's a lot of AI that's out there. And just like that guy that has a deck company that built a bot, 100% you can. What I'm going to caution you on is make sure your security and your customer's security is covered because any data leaks, right? Like that's where those boundaries come in. And that's why you want to make sure a platform you go with, whatever you choose to use for your AI, has the security protocols written into it. Does that resonate? Does that make sense? And then we always, a few of the customers, the ones that have been successful, we always start with an AI readiness assessment, right? And they are everywhere. You can get software to do them. There's free ones online. You can do it yourself, right? It's the basic level of it is to profile your call volume and complexity of calls. So, if you're, to your point, Paul, if yours is an emergency service, like, hey, whatever the case may be, emergency, we don't even ever want to offer them an AI bot, right? But if it's somebody calling to, hey, I need a furnace cleaning or I need this done, maybe we'll offer them the bot to go through the process and schedule an appointment, right? So it's listing out what are all the different call types I have, what are the complexity, and what's the call volume per call type. And then where's your data at? So you mentioned, it's going to take a lot of inputting the data into databases. Some customers have their knowledge base, like have their FAQs. Some people, it's with some of the agents, like it's in the agent's head because they've been there for so long. So what I've seen one of our customers do is they recorded all of her calls and started going through and using that agent's calls as creating knowledge articles from it because it's transcribed, right? So they can create knowledge articles and then using that not only for training the new agents, but using it for their bots because I'm just going to use Betty's name. Betty was there and Betty's been there for 20 years and she knows everything more than our FAQs, right? So they can do that. They can use team meetings. They can record your team meetings and say, this is or trainings and take that, transcribe it, and make it into data that your bots will then use as data, as knowledge as they're going back to answer customer questions internally and externally. Evaluate your data practices. As I said, security is key. It is absolutely critical to look at the security. Internal skills are a big thing. If you look at where AI started 18 months ago, they were saying you have to have a data scientist on staff. Now, business users can write the AI scripts, right? Depending on the tool that you get. AWS, as you mentioned earlier, Paul, you definitely need a technical person with some chops to work in the AWS system. In some of the other platforms that are available out there in the market, I've written a chatbot in about 30 minutes for a normal small query. So depending on what your appetite is for whether you want to build or whether you want to buy, that's where you need to kind of assess your internal skills. Looking at your test pilot, again, we've talked through kind of what's that easiest kind of lower complex, highest volume thing that you can do, but always do one test case, right? One use case. The customers that failed, not only did they not have data, but they tried to boil the ocean. Go one at a time, right? One use case at a time, fine tune it because it's not magic. It will take tuning and it will take, oh, we need a knowledge article to support this, or here's where it's failing, or, identifying that and fine tuning it and really getting the bot the information that it needs. And then, of course, your workflow mapping is critical because in every place, the bot needs to know when and how to escalate to a human, right? Questions about AI readiness. Education and change management. Has anybody had any of their agents express concern that their jobs are going to go away with AI?
Oh,
Yes.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Leslie.
No, go yes. And that's one for us is we've absolutely had that and giving reassurance that it's not going to disappear is key.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say they're not too concerned. I think that we've done a fairly good job educating them. But again, we're in the urgent call response business for the most part. In our business, it's like 80% of our customers. Oh, did you get my lunch?
No, I'm gonna get your line. Sorry,
It's the boss. The boss is getting my lunch, so excuse me. Huh?
who are you talking to?
Huh?
Oh, sorry. Oh, look, hi guys. Sorry. Hello. Okay, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Uh, oh boy, where was I? Oh yeah. So in our business, 80% of our customers um, hire us because they want us to provide an urgent call response type service. Um, it's not necessarily 80% of our revenue, but it's 80% of our clients. And the rest is, donation lines or scheduling appointments or just a virtual reception type business where we're not escalating the calls. We don't have to escalate the calls. Um, so, but with urgent call response service, no matter how technologically advanced somebody is, when they have a problem, there's only one person they want to speak to, and that's mummy. And we're mummy when they call. We're the mummy when they call. And so uh, that's uh, a voice bot is not going to be able to provide that level of warmth. And I know they do a pretty good job, but they don't that level of warmth, engagement, empathy. Um, but we're confident that we can front end a lot of our calls with a voice bot or an AI receptionist and either screen them or do a little bit of triage for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to reduce the amount of that we're charging our customers because our customers are getting more cost conscious. And as our charges increase, and now we're charging, where we would have charged the customer $200 a month, we're now up to $400 a month for the same customer. They're getting a little concerned and they're starting to complain. And we've got to do something to decrease the amount of operator time. And so we are that's where we think we can use AI or AI receptionists or voice bots in our business anyhow.
Excellent. And
Or
Leslie mentioned, sorry, did somebody else have something to?
I would agree with Paul, Gina, that that's a real challenge for our industry right now is bringing value to our clients and finding the right median between what is sort of of a reduced value to our client versus where the real value is.
Yeah. And I think that's where it would be interesting to sit down and kind of go through that. Here's our call volume, here's our call types, here's our call volume per type, and here's the complexity, right? Like if you can start with your complexity matrix, you can figure out which ones of those you could automate immediately, right? And typically what we see in a lot of spaces, and like I said, you were mentioning appointment settings, that's one of the easiest ones to do, right? To automate. And as long as you have an appointment setting system with an API, as I mentioned earlier, it's an easy test case that's been done so many times. Like I think most AI software actually has uh, out of the box, which still requires some massaging, and of course it matters the quality of the data, right? And the connections, but that is one where you could add value immediately for your customers when you're looking at implementing AI.
I think one of the other values, Gina, and you hit on it at the beginning of the session, and that is the whole idea that if you properly structured your system, you'll be able to answer on the first ring and there'll be no hold and you can answer as many lines as that are coming in that you have the facilities for. Because you're right, and I think it's a very important not to be underestimated direction of where the world is going is that nobody has any tolerance of waiting at all anymore. And so the idea that we could go out as an industry and sell to our clients the fact that we could answer on the first ring on every call guaranteed, we can't do that now. We sort of based on formulas say so many of your calls will be answered live, the percentage of calls it won't be with this much, this is what your average wait time is going to be, and so forth. I think it would be a huge, and that's part of this product that for our industry, I absolutely love. I'm so done with dealing with hold time issues.
Hmm. And staffing, right? Like I'm sure like any contact center you guys have trouble, like there's got to be staffing issues that pop up now and again, right? And having the agents or peaks like when you're talking about emergencies. So I'll say like, if there's a flood or there's a power outage or whatever the case may be would be the emergency, you've got the bots that can scale up and say, okay, are you calling about this power outage? Or are you, like depending on what the exact situation is, in those critical, you can use bots. And there are energy companies and there are, telephone system companies where things are down and there's car AAA. Are you about, are you on the side of the road? Are you out of harm's way? All that is done by bots. Those are people calling in to roadside emergency and speaking with bots, right? So all of that is possible. It's just really kind of figuring out where the tolerance is and how to make, again, start small, right? Don't boil the ocean all at once, but go small and start with something easy and kind of work from there.
Gina, there
Um,
was a question in the chat here from
sure.
Candace. She says, how quickly can you update the AI bots for said emergencies?
Oh, it's depend. Okay, so great question. It's going to depend on who your vendor is that you have chosen to go with, but most of them are instantaneous. So if you need to deploy, like if something happens and you need to deploy, oh my goodness, we had a power outage, we're turning AI bots on for this. It is literally we're turning on the agents because you've already got them created, right? Like if you had to create the bot and everything else for it, then no. But if you've got your emergency bots created, it is in your admin panel and you are turning them on.
I guess my question would be better to just say it. So say like there's a power outage in a building and we want to update people who are calling in. How quickly can we get that information to the bot, like in the program, to let the customer know? Same
So,
idea?
like a script change, Candace, is that what I'm
Yeah,
understanding? Yeah.
yeah.
So it's literally like, and that's what I was saying, depending on the vendor you choose, right? So right now, the most of them are being written for operational people to be able to write the actual commands. So it would be as easy as going into your admin console, changing your like typing in your script and away you go, right? Or from a power outage in the building perspective for your customers, you're probably going to do a check of some sort with the, like, hey, the bot will probably already be trained to check to see if this is hours of operation are on, check to see, whatever those
Hmm.
things are. So you would already kind of have those rules built into the bot. And the minute that went down, the bot would already just, oh, I just checked and it says this says power outage. Hi, we're experiencing a power outage right now, right? So you would have those rules kind of built into your bot out of the gate.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing technology that can really help, when handled properly, I'll say,
Yeah.
because it's definitely if you try to do too much too soon, it's a recipe for disaster. Um, But to the agents, and Leslie, I'm glad you mentioned that, it's over communicating with them, because it's training them. And a lot of what we're seeing is, yes, okay, sometimes like the easy, repetitive tasks that will get taken away by AI. But Paul, to your point, in some of those cases, and where we are seeing it a lot is kind of in maybe in healthcare or something like that, where it's truly life or death kind of things. We want to talk to a person, right? I need to talk to a person about this test result or whatever the case may be. So there's different levels in there, but it's making sure that everybody's trained on what the capabilities are, and that's from every level, right? That's your supervisors, your agents, your quality management people, and the C level, because everybody is also going to have different expectations. Like if you were to say, what's the thing that's most important to you? To a C level, what stats the most important to them? Okay. What stats the most important to your supervisors, to your QA managers? And what about your frontline people, right? Like they might say, I hate it when customers have to wait so long because they're really annoyed by the time they get to me and then they don't treat me well, or whatever the case may be, right? So finding out what is their motivator will also help you assign it to the complexity when you're looking at what use cases are we going to go with, and how can we really make this work for everybody within the organization. Also, I think what really helps when you're adopting AI is make sure you're very transparent in your communication out there. Communicate the outcomes, communicate the expectations, right? Like, here's what we're expecting to have happen, and here's what's actually happening. Here's what the customers are saying. And really always have that feedback loop going on for both, like for everybody involved, because it is very important that way. Um, when you are selecting your vendor, and again, by vendor, I mean the person, if you choose to buy versus build your own AI, demo as many use cases, like demo as close to your use case as possible, have them do that. And like I said, like if it's an FAQ or a scheduled appointment or something like that, those are so common stake that most of them have them in there now. So you'll be able to do that. Um, like I said at the beginning, make sure that you look at what the integration options are. Make sure that they use open APIs and see where their roadmap is going and what their flexibility is. Because the other thing, and I'm sure you guys find this, right? Sometimes when you go with one of those bigger vendors out there, they might not have the flexibility to help you and help create something custom for you that is specific to your organization. But make sure that they have been around minimum 5 to 7 years in this AI space. The other big thing is the support that they're going to offer. How are they going to help you get your first use case live? And then where are they going to be for the further use cases? Is it intuitive? Do I need a data scientist to write them? Make sure day two support is something that you cover off with them. And then what is the skill set that you need to manage the system going forward? Do you need technical resources, or can you use your call center manager or your business operations person, right? Or your supervisor who can be used for that. And then this is just a high level overview of what a deployment might look like, right? So you go through your AI assessment, you figure out where are we and what do we need to do to get ready, right? So let's audit our current workflows. Let's take a look at our data. Okay, let's look at our integration possibilities to our CCAS, so to our telephony platform, any third-party apps you might have. So if you do have a knowledge base or you do have a scheduling system, what's the capabilities there for integration? You build out your first use case, you have your pilot, you have your success criteria. You're going to have issues, right? Like I said, it's not magic, so you're going to be iterating a few times through the cycle to make sure you get it refined right. And then going through the audit for security before any major release, and of course any staff changing or into software changes that you may have. And then I've talked about data a lot, but I really want everybody to make sure they understand the importance of it, and not just for what your AI can consume to then be able to communicate to your customers, but how you can then monitor whether or not AI is being successful in your workspace, right? So make sure that the analytics are part of the platform and part of the vendor, what they're doing, what they're able to provide you. Make sure that there's analytics that go along with it. And running the audits, regular audits, automating your voice of the customer, as we said, that comes with the auto QA. And then just as you guys normally do within your businesses, I would imagine is a continuous, okay, we did this, now how do we make it better and continually iterate to get improvement? And we were talking about callers expecting instant answers, and they're saying 60%, and via email, they're saying it's within 20 to 30 minutes. And on the phone, we all know what our stats are there, right? It used to be 80/20, but it's not anymore. They want it very quick. So AI scheduling boosts booking rates, and this is on the low end. 10% is on the low end, 35% is on the high end. Some of them will guarantee, 50 to 60%. Out of the gate, I haven't seen anything more than 35. One of them went to 40%, which was, I mean, their ROI, they got it back in their first month, right? Because people were showing up on and booking. Automated QA, there are separate ROIs that can be done for that. Not only, I don't know if you guys are dealing with emergencies, I'm guessing you have compliance issues in there as well, and certain things that need to be said on every call. That really helps ensure, and for your customer, like your customer, that you guys are, towing the line for their, as you're representing their company. And then workflow automation. So having the bot handle as much as possible, getting rid of the repetitive tasks saves upwards of 35%. And that's on average. There's some companies that all they do is set appointments. In their cases, they're seeing work automation, saving them 70%. It really varies depending on what type of calls that you take into your center. So, quick little action plan or thoughts for you guys to take away are look at doing an AI assessment, define your use cases, audit your data and your security today, right? Map your workflows, your escalations, select your vendor, design a pilot, integrate, train. You guys can read all that. So that's typically what we set out for our customers when we've seen them work successfully. Throwing a dartboard is fun sometimes, and but it doesn't typically end in a good implementation. So with that, I will take a pause and see if there's any other questions or thoughts or.
We have about 5 more minutes left before the end of this meeting, so please let's use Gina's time and pick her brain a little bit.
Gina, I'm interested in agent assist information. Like where is that at? And especially for our industry, I know the contact centers are using it, but just interested in that would really help us.
Yeah, and so typically when you and again I'm taking it from the buy versus build position, Jeff. Most of the software out there that will do your automated QA will have agent assist or copilot or a chat like agent chat help that will screen pop right off of that. Again, it's really dependent on the data that you have and I'll call it a knowledge base, but all your FAQs internally for your agents. So whether that's the training materials or things like that, but that's where it's going to go to. And it's when the calls are being recorded, right? So the agent assist is hearing the call and they're hearing the customer say, I want to check give me one of your call scenarios that you might have, Jeff.
Well, we do a lot of appointment setting, and they ask many questions like, "What's the address?" So I suppose if it could pull that quickly without us looking up where we put it or something else.
Yes. And
We've
quite
never,
honestly,
yeah.
yeah, that could
So
all be done on a bot, right?
that's all done. Yeah. Is that easier than what you mentioned, what Paul was talking about bots with the setting up your own bot? This would just automatically pull it from the right data set? Or do you have to
So
check this data? Like I've been thinking about, okay, at least take 1,000 calls. That's a lot of data. AI can certainly interpret it, but there could be good data and bad data in there.
And that's where that confidence score comes from. So I'm going to rewind for a minute here and just go to I'm guessing the appointment setting, you might have 100 customers that you're setting appointments for, right? And so it would need to, they all probably, each customer would have their own DID that they would dial into. So you would know, hey, I'm calling from customer A, I'm calling from customer B.
Yep.
So you would need to marry, or in your database somewhere would have customer A, here is their address, here's their hours, here's their scheduling, right? Their calendar for scheduling appointments, that kind of thing. And then what it would do, if you chose to go fully automated, the customer could say, hi, I'm calling in. I need to make an appointment for a furnace cleaning. And the bot can say, oh, great, I can help you with that. What day of the week are you looking for? Or what date are you looking for? Here's our next available. Do you like mornings? Do you like afternoons? Does this time work for you? Is this the window? That could all be handled by a bot. Now, if you wanted it to go to your agent and handled by your agent, absolutely. Coming in from the DID would be associated with a company and that company's knowledge base, right? Or company's knowledge article, and it would then pop that right up for your agent to read. So, or they could text it, right? They could say, hey, would you like me to send you an SMS on this so that they have it and they don't have to write it down? So there's all those options that are available depending on what platform your telephony's on, and then depending on uh, what platform you choose to go with from a AI perspective. But it can all be done.
Have you seen it done with in
Yes.
these call centers and it works
Yes.
really well? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I've seen it done. So, like I said, I've had over a dozen implementations of AI in probably the last 6 months, I think. Two of them have failed, and they failed because the data wasn't, it wasn't quality data.
Right.
And let me go back to that confidence score thing. So, one of the other things that most of the good AI platforms out there today are doing is the bot won't respond. Like you can set a thing, hey, bot, I want you to transfer to an agent if you're not 95% confident in what you're saying is accurate.
Yeah,
And
we're interested in making the agent more intelligent, faster. It's
yeah,
not, we don't want we want a live agent, but we want the AI to feed the data faster in case the customer has too much data, like most of them have,
right.
right? We want to be
So
able to, we
it's
want to
the
make them
same
look more
thing.
professional.
Yeah, so it's the same thing whether it's a bot or a human. If there's multiple sources of the same thing of data, the AI is going to say, I don't have the confidence in this, right? Like I don't know what to present because you've
Right.
got 5 articles. Now you can train your bots to say, go to the article with the latest or most current date, right? And that is the one. And so if that's the way you've trained the bot, then that's the information they'll present to the agent.
Through the agent assist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it should work.
Oh, it absolutely does. And most I was going to say I've yet to see a platform that is, I'm going to say that's current, that most like that is out there in the space. All the new platforms have it, and even all the old platforms that are in the cloud have agent assist. Like it's kind of table stakes like reporting is now, right? It's very because every platform is doing it, the ones that aren't doing it are losing customers.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry that I have to interrupt and stop this conversation because I'm sure there's lots of questions still. If I would like to let you guys know that we have developed a technology committee for CAMEX, and Gina has graciously given us her time to be on that committee. So we're hoping that we're going to have a lot more AI focused and technology focused webinars coming up. So I'm going to task you with something, if I may. I'm going to send out the recording of this webinar, and I'm also going to send out a survey. We wanted this to kind of be our first stop on the AI train, and we want to get your brains going in this direction. So if you could fill out the survey of stuff that was resonating with you, things that you're interested in, we're going to be developing more webinar content for you. So please take a few minutes in the next, maybe today or tomorrow, if you could, while it's fresh, and fill out that survey for me. You'll be getting more AI content through CAMEX shortly. And Gina, I want to say thank you so much for being here today and giving us your time. What an excellent session. And if you guys need to contact Gina or have any questions, you can email me, erica@kmx.ca, and I'd love to connect you guys.
Absolutely. Thank
So
you so much for having me, and thank you so much for all the great questions and feedback and interaction during the session. I appreciate it.
awesome.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Gina.
much,
Thanks,
everyone.
Gina.
Take care.
Have a great
You too.
afternoon.